Okay, we've been printing a bunch of parts. Now we're going to start assembling things so we don't accumulate too many parts and start wondering where they go. And that's a little bit of a problem already, so I'm going to get started. So here's the whole model for the launch tower. So we're going to start with the base and work our way up, which makes sense. And so first they talk about assembling the base. These are all the parts that we looked at when we were printing it. So here's step one. So here's the base here. So the question is, do we need these magnets? And in this case, the answer is yes, because this cover goes on top of here, like this. And when we have it on display, we want to put some weights down in here. And I don't want to put weights in here and never take them out, at least for now. I can always do this later, but for now, we're going to put a magnet here so we can take this base off and put some weight in there, and then close it back up again. The other thing that's showing magnets is along the side here. There's two on this side and two on this side. There's none on the other sides. And that's for this cover, which is here. This cover goes over some stuff that's down below, which we'll find out in a minute. But this cover goes on here and sticks in by magnets. And that covers up the pulley system. So we're going to be able to access that to turn it and maintain it and so forth. So we're going to be using magnets. But this will definitely stay magnets forever. This one, once we're happy with the weight that we put in here and whether or not we need to ever adjust it, then I'll probably end up gluing this because it's just one more part to mess up. So we'll see about that. It could be a while. I'll probably use it in the field a few times before I decide if I really need to glue this or not. And then around this, here shows how to do the pulley. So this is what I was talking about, accumulating too many parts before you start assembling. So we printed a bunch of black parts at once, which makes sense. They're all black, right? Well, there's all sorts of pulleys being used in the system that raises and lowers the chopstick. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 pulleys, 8 pulleys here. So there's 3 different four. Let's see. Wait a minute. Are these all the same? Yeah. There's 4 of this kind. There's 5 of this kind. 1 of this kind. And there's 2 of this kind. So the 2 we need are these 2 right here, which are the tallest ones, and they just fit in this system right here. So they just go in there. So those are the 2 we're going to be using today. And just toss the other one. Oh, it's right here. Okay, so there's 2 there. And we're going to be, this says use the dowel pin. So the plans call for using metal dowel pins, but those are kind of expensive because they're made of aluminum or something. I think they're made of aluminum. It could be steel anyway. In any case, I'm going to be using this, they're 3 millimeters in diameter. I'm going to be using this 3 millimeter acrylic rod that I already had from some of my other products that I'm working on. And so we need 2 different lengths of dowel pins. One is 10 millimeters, one is 20. So with this is a 20 centimeter or 200 millimeter long acrylic rod, so I can cut it to whatever lengths I want is what I'm trying to get at. So, and it'll cut with these nippers, which I have around here somewhere. Here we go. So you just measure the length you want, and just use these wire cutters to cut it. So, all right, so that's what we're gonna do for that. And then the next part is putting the magnets in the cover, which disappeared again. Oh, here it is. The cover. So again, we're back to our old problem of magnet polarization. So we gotta keep track of that. Just back a little bit. Okay. And then you put this on here. Sure. Put this on. And then you put this base on. So this is like the base, goes like this. This is just glued on, which is fine. It fits nicely. Then you put this other piece on top of it. This is printed in 2 parts, so then it could be printed this way. So it would print easily without any supports. So that's fine. I have no problem with that part of the design. Then this is where the cover goes on. So this cover actually rests on the top of this part of the base here. This is where the pulley, the places where the line is used to raise and lower the chopsticks. And you put all these shields on. That's all on this side. This must be the side away from the rocket, and this is the side towards the rocket. There's a bunch of different kinds of shields. So this is a big shield here. These are some more black parts that I printed that got confused with some other, or got mixed up, or printed at the same time as a bunch of parts for the shielding of the piping going up the tower. So had to separate all those out. That one goes here. This shield, this little small one here, goes over here. So that's fine. That's all nicely glued in. And this one goes on this side. Let me hold this up so you can see it better. So that's fine. That's nicely glued in. So of course you want to, and then this nests up against that. Or does it? Let's see. This one has to go over that one. Okay. Not sure I like that design. Oh, that's right. That's the other side. Okay. This one goes over here. This one goes over here with this shield over here. So that's fine. Now on this side, if you look here, this shield goes here, and then you've got these two, I think they're pipe shields. Anyway, so one goes here butted up against this one, but the other one is just kind of free floating over here. So if I was designing this, I would design these two. Sorry about that. I would design these two as one part. Then you could just put it on there as one part instead of having two parts, and having this one just be kind of free floating with no locator bumps or anything on the base here. Anyway, so that's a little suggestion for the future for our orbital launch tower designer. So far, super impressed, as I keep saying, but there's a few things I would change, but that's fine. There's no problem gluing it, just to be simpler. It would not compromise the design to have a small connecting piece that was thin between these two. You just glue it on there. No one's going to notice that. So, all right, I think that's the last step. Yeah. Okay. So those are our steps A through H. So we're going to be doing that. And like I said, here we're going to have to cut two. How long was those supposed to be? Those were supposed to be step B, 2B. Yeah, so so these are 3 millimeters by 20 millimeters long. So we'll cut I have my millimeter scale here, so we're going to cut those. All right, so I'll cut those, and then we'll get to assembling. All right, so I measured 20 millimeters with my fingers like this. Then I put my wire cutters up against it. I'm just going to snip it, just like that. So the end is pretty smooth. I could sand it off. I might do that. Probably not. But this end is a little bit ragged. I have to do some sanding on that one. So I got off the raggedy part. So let's see if it fits through these little holes. He has pretty reasonable tolerances on these things. This one's actually pretty tight. You want it to be tight because all you want is you want this to be loose. I'll just drop that. Let's see it. Okay. You want this part to be loose, so this spins nice and freely. So 3 millimeter acrylic rod works fine for the dowel pins, for the pulleys anyway. But that's another step. We cut those, so those are good. Now we'll go on to putting the magnets in on the base. And we have our same system we used last time. If you watched my Starship or booster video, so we use the same system we used last time. Alright, so those, just to show you, and in case you didn't watch the other one, we have to have all these magnet polarities be matching up. So if you have the north side of the magnet sticking up this way, you want the south side on this end. So when they go together, they stick instead of repelling each other, which would be bad. So the way I did that was, I took off one magnet. These are the tiny magnets. I'll show you. We're going to do something slightly different than we did last time. These are the tiny magnets. They're 3 millimeters by 2. I don't know if you can even see it. 3 millimeters by 2 millimeters thick. So they're very tiny, and they're magnetic. Okay. So what we do is we use our pin magnet here, and so I don't know if this is north or south. Doesn't really matter as long as they're consistent. So we use this pin magnet to insert the magnets in here, so that the up direction is always the same polarity. We don't know what polarity is, but we just have to know that they're all the same. So we'll grab another one. These are easier to work with than the 5mm magnets because they're not as powerful, so they're easier to work with. The other thing we did last time was we put glue in here first and then tried to put these magnets in, and that caused all sorts of a mess. This time we're going to put the magnets in first and then put a drop of glue, and it'll just go in by capillary action and glue them in there. So first we'll put them all in, then we'll glue them. Okay, so those are in there. Now we're going to put little drops of glue on it. And you only need one drop for each one. Now this is plastic, of course, so it's not going to stick. One drop of glue on each one. There we go. You have to leave that aside, and we'll leave that alone for a while. We definitely don't want to try these magnets out very quickly because you want to make sure it's completely dry. All right, so now we're going to put this one with the opposite polarity. So we're going to use our pin magnet again. And we'll get it on here. Now, if we just push it in here, we have the same polarity be up that we had before, which we don't want. So what we did last time is we put our index finger on the opposite side, and then we put our thumb on the polarity side of this magnet. Then we slipped it over here and pressed it in like that. Okay? As long as you do that carefully, it should work. Like I said, I did mess up one on the other part, but I'm trying to be more careful this time. Alright, they're all in there. The tolerance on these holes was tighter than the tolerances on these holes, so they stayed in there pretty well. Now we're going to put the glue on them. One drop of glue for each one. Alright, so we'll set that aside, away from this one. We don't want to get close to that because they're going to be, you can pull the magnets out, they'll just go woo right across space. Alright, so now we've got some magnets that go into this thing, so we'll do this thing. Yeah, I'm going to do it this way, yeah. So we use the pin magnet to put the magnets on this side, and then the magnets on the side, I'll use my finger, the finger method, with the opposite polarity. So these holes are printed on their side too, so that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Yes, they're not going in straight, they're going in at an angle. Alright, try one more time here. See if I can figure out something. Yep. I guess ideally I'd have another pin magnet that was the opposite polarity, but I don't have one, so I'm not going to find another magnet though. I may have to try to find another magnet that has the opposite polarity. Alright, so I found another magnet. This is a nice little circle magnet. It must have been part of something, a refrigerator magnet or something. It has two polarities. This side attracts and this side repels. I can't push it up against that, so that's what we want. And this area here is big enough for this to work, so. Alright, so what we're going to do is this is the side that's opposite the pin magnets. We want to put a magnet from here onto that side. And it'll just go the way it wants to go. That's the way it wants to be. So then this should attract to that. See, so that gives you so the pin magnet is more powerful, so it's going to stick to that. But that tells you that's the right orientation, so that these magnets in the base will match up, will attract these over here. It's on there. Now we're going to use this just to push down, straight down on this hole. Yeah, that worked. Okay, so then I'm going to use my plastic tool to press this down somewhere. Or maybe my finger. I don't know. Let's see. I'll just use this and press harder. There. Now it went in there. Okay. That's seated nicely now. Okay, so this is our. I'm going to put an X on the side we don't want to use. So this is the side we want to use. I'll put an X on this side so I don't accidentally use that side. I'm going to put a magnet on the non-X side, like that, and we'll just press it into this hole. So I guess what I'm telling you is you should have two magnets. They could be both pin magnets, or they could be one like this. This is working quite well, actually. Okay, so now these are a really tight fit, which is fine. You don't want them falling out. And actually glue is probably, you don't want to use glue because you might accidentally glue the pulley, which wouldn't be good. So these are quite difficult to put in. So it could be the dowels that he's calling for a slightly smaller diameter. That's possible. I'm just going to use my round file here to slightly increase the size of these holes. Alright, Alright, I sanded this a little bit more, so now this fits in more easily. So I need to center this pulley so the axle goes through the middle of it, and then it slides through. I think that's okay. I don't think that's gonna. There's enough friction. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere, so I'm not gonna put any glue on it for now. If it falls out or something, then I'll come back later. I can always. This piece is gonna be able to be taken off, so I can pick it out and then carefully glue it. So. All right. So just a tiny bit of sanding is needed. You want to over sand it and make the hole too big. Again, one problem is these holes are printed so they're vertical, so that means they're not exactly round when you do 3D printing. And my the 20 millimeter acrylic rod I used here to place the dowel pin sticks out slightly on each side, which is good. You want that. So, all right, the next step is gluing the base shields on. So you want to make sure you put it on the sides and have the magnets. He shows that in his diagram. A good idea would be to follow along is to bring up his website. I'll put links to that in my show notes. So what I'm going to do for this is we're just going to sit on the table and slide this in. If it nests nicely, I'm going to put a little bit of glue around this border here, and then maybe wipe off the excess. So I didn't mention on this video, I'm using this Loctite super glue professional liquid. That's what I use for all my products that I have gluing to do on them. So I really like this. You can buy 4-packs on Amazon. That's where I get it. So we're going to hold this until it dries. I want to get off some of this excess stuff. Although it's going to be covered up, so maybe that's a waste of time. Okay, so that's that. Now we need to glue this top of the shield on here. So this is going to put some drops of glue around here, and then I'll put some glue around this perimeter too, so just to make sure it doesn't fall off. Some drops here. This only apply glue to one side, so that's what we're doing. So we need to press these together. I'm also going to put some glue along the top here. All right, everything is dry now. So he's adamant in the instructions not to glue this on, because then you can't access the pulley or the winch that's going to move the thing up, move the chopsticks up and down. So do not glue this on. Okay. So I warned you too. So now these pulleys here go the same direction as where the shield's going to go. So the magnets here work. That's holding on there just nicely. So, and the magnets here work too. So hooray, magnets are good. All right. So now we take those off. Now we're going to glue the rest of the shields on. Okay. All right, so we're going to look from left to right. We're on the opposite side of this base, and we're not putting any shields on this side. So this shield starts here. This is the leftmost shield. So what we're going to do is, this has got a cutout here. So we're going to put some glue down in this area, and then we get it on there, I'll put a little bit of glue on these joints here. I'll put some drops of glue here. And then let's slide this on. And I want to put it on the table here so it's flush with the rest of the base. I'm going to put some glue in this joint here and make sure it stays in there. So we're going to wipe off the excess again. One thing to be careful of is don't make sure you keep it up off the table. Once you have it locked in, make sure you get up the table in, because some of the glue dripped down and started sticking to the table, but I got it off in time, so watch out for that. Alright, so this one is dry. Now we need to do this next one. So it goes this way. There's a ridge down the middle here, so it goes vertically in between these two posts here. So it's just centered. There's a little bit of give here, but again, we want it flush with the bottom and the top. So it's just the same height as this now. So we'll put some drops of glue here. Try to keep it away from the floor this time so it doesn't drip down. Let's put this on. Put this on and we'll press it in. And I'm just going to put some glue along the top here. Later on I may come back after I'm all done and put some glue down in this joint here, but I don't want to do it right now. Let's do that. There. So hold this until it's dry and go on to the next side. One thing to be careful of is don't make sure you keep it up off the once you have it locked in, make sure you get up the table on, because some of the glue dripped down and started sticking to the table, but I got it off in time, so watch out for that. Alright, so this one is dry. Now we need to do this next one. So it goes this way. There's a ridge down the middle here, so it goes vertically in between these two posts here. So it's just centered. There's a little bit of give here, but again, we want it flush with the bottom and the top, so it's just the same height as this now. So we'll put some drops of glue here. Try to keep it away from the floor this time so it doesn't drip down. Let's put this on. Put this on and we'll press it in. And I'm just going to put some glue along the top here. Later on, I may come back after I'm all done and put some glue down in this joint here, but I don't want to do it right now. Alright, we've got two shields on. Now we're going to do this side. Now this side has got this shield that goes along on this edge over here. And it's got these two vertical pieces that I talked about earlier, so we'll put those on last. So when you get this side, this is similar to the other side, but it wraps around this post at the bottom for some reason to better protect it, obviously. But so we're gonna keep glue away from the bottom here because we don't want it dripping on the table again. So we'll just put some here, a little bit down toward the base, but we don't need it all the way at the bottom. So we'll slide this on. We're gonna put it on the table again because we want it to be flush with the base. Then I'll put some glue in this joint in here and wipe off the excess. Alright, this is dry now, so we have two shields. One goes here. They're the same, you don't have to worry about up and down. And one goes next to it. There's this little indent here, I guess, for when the tower above sticks on it. So in other words, this overlaps this indent here on the top of the base, and this one overlaps on the other side the same way. Okay, so it's just, you can look at the photo in the instructions and see what I'm talking about. Well, actually, I'll bring it over. Sure, why not? All right, so there they are. There's one butts up against this shield we just put on, and the other one is just spaced over slightly. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing we did before. Well, this time we're going to put drops on this thing because that's going to be located perfectly. But we're not going to keep drops away from the bottom so we don't want to stick into the table. So let's put some drops here and stay away from the bottom. I hope I didn't get any of my fingers. I did, yeah, okay. So watch out for that. Keep your fingers away from it. Let's hold this one on until it's dry, and then we'll do the next one. I'm thinking about it more. He could have printed these shields as part of the base, so you didn't have to glue them on. There's no way. I mean, this would print fine and vertically. These are just little divot in and out. That's like a 45-degree angle. That would print fine. So he should have done is he should have printed these two shields as part of the base. There's no need to have them as a separate piece. In fact, that's true of this part too. Just print this as part of the base. This part you have to print separately probably because it goes on this thing that you glue on later. Remember, this over here where the winch goes and so forth, that has to be printed the way I said earlier, so that's fine. But these shields here on these two sides should have been integrated into the base. That would make my life easier, and your life easier too. Maybe on the next version I'll do that. He said he was open to suggestions, so hopefully if he watches this video, I'll mention it when I post it. Mention it to him and see. So again, we stay away from the bottom. Then we're going to slide it on here, and we're gonna keep it the same overlap of that divot as the one on the right, and we're going to make sure the bottom of it is flush with the table so it's vertical. It doesn't be perfect. No one's going to notice if it's at a slight angle, but anyway, I try to make it as good as I can. All right, the base is done. So we glued everything on. We put our magnets in. Let's double check our magnets. That works. Here's the cover for the winch. It's got cutouts for where the cable goes. So everything looks like it's working great. So here's the winch. We're going to work on that next. Here's part of it anyway. So this This fits in this bearing here. There's some ball bearings to make it spin easier, and then you turn this, and it winds the cord up on this. So. All right, that's our next part of the tower to assemble. And those glue in down here. That's why you need to keep this magnet, because you need to be able to take this off to manipulate this winch. Okay? All right, the base is done. So we glued everything on. We put our magnets in. Let's double check our magnets. That works. Here's the cover for the winch. It's got cutouts for where the cable goes.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Post a comment if you have any questions or ideas, and I'll try to respond. That's all for now, but more videos are coming, and if you want to see them, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification icon if you don't want to miss one. This is Beta Cygni signing out, and keep looking up.